Hello guys, welcome back to another Hardware Canucks review. We're taking a look at a new micro ATX seashell from Lian-Li. This is the Cowry PC-U6 2011 Special Edition. Now, if this case looks familiar, back in 2005, Lian-Li proved they are capable of designing something unique in terms of aesthetic looks without sacrificing the functionality of the interior. And it seems Lian-Li has done it again, but with a more compact design. Obviously, this isn't targeted towards enthusiast gamers, but for those who prefer a unique looking case to be used as a home theater PC. However, as you will soon find out, it does have a potential for an adequate gaming setup for those willing to spend $350 on a chassis. Now, before making our mind about this extraordinary enclosure based on its price, let's take a look at what it has to offer. First off, Lian-Li's excellent aluminum craftsmanship stands out, and while the case does have a lot of plastic parts, the overall construction is fairly solid. The front features one 5¼ drive bay cover, which has to be removed and placed back into its spot once you install your optical drive. Then we have quality aluminum power and reset buttons and plenty of venting holes, and located on the feet of the Cowry are our front panel connectors featuring eSATA, USB 3 ports, and your audio. The side panel design is definitely an important factor in delivering a visually appealing chassis, but it also takes into account the airflow of this little shell and the spiral mesh. Due to the limited airflow options, the all-around ventilated approach helps to keep the temperatures low. The rear of the chassis has an air filter which can be moved up slightly to cover the optional 80mm exhaust fan. We also have a fan controller knob for up to 4 fans, I/O area, and 4 ventilated PCI slots, and a bottom-mounted power supply under which Lian-Li's usual dust filter is located for accessible maintenance. Okay, so let's get inside the shell and see what this micro ATX case has to offer. Once the side panel is removed, dual 120mm fan bracket is located to deliver cool air, which spans both the CPU and the GPU, and the bracket must be removed before dealing with any hardware installation, and it is held securely by a thumb screw and sits on rubber grommets for extra silence. Both fans are covered with dust filters, which can be removed by untightening the screws on the 4 corners. Inside, there is another dust filter for the front, which also can be easily removed and cleaned. Moving on, this case supports mini ITX and micro ATX motherboards, and a moderately sized CPU backplate opening, support for dual 2.5-inch drives along with 3 3.5-inch drives. With their conventional mounting system using screws and rubber grommets, drives just fit into place. Also, the locking mechanism uses a similar design as on its previous cases to prevent drives from sliding out. One comment can be made about the rubber grommets beside the motherboard tray, as they don't seem to suit the overall quality of the chassis, as they easily fall out when passing cables through them. And at this price point, we expect only the best quality, and it's disappointing to see Lian-Li drop the ball on this minor detail. So how does Cowry prepare for cable management at the back? Well, only one plastic cable clamp and ½ an inch for the rest of your cables. Again, disappointing to see no cable tie mountings to aid during installation, especially for such limited space. So with expectations for an uneasy assembly, let's see how this seashell stacks up in practice. First, to insert the power supply, the PSU bracket had to be removed, which mounts onto the unit, and the power supply slides into place. Notice how little room there is left between all the cables and the curved front panel, and for those with long and modular power supplies, we do recommend installing all the cables first, as it would be very difficult plugging in additional cables after the power supply is inside the case. Since the case is USB 3 ready and has an internal 20-pin connector, Lian-Li includes USB 2 adapter for those who do not have compatible motherboards. They also include motherboard thumb screws, which come in handy during assembly, and a red LED strip that could be attached to the bottom of the case and illuminate all of the internal components. Now, even due to its relatively small interior, the case can handle GPUs of up to 310mm or 12.2 inches. Now, considering the sizing current mid and high-end graphics cards, this chassis can handle pretty much all of them. Installing our monster triple slot 11.5 inches long GTX 570, you can see how much room there is left. While it is packed in pretty tight, it manages to keep up with the latest in computer hardware. Now, it is a different story behind the motherboard, as cable management isn't made easy and requires a bit of creative work if you want the side panel to close properly. Now, just to clarify, this isn't the problem of extra cables making this huge mess, as we are working with a fully modular power supply and using only the needed cables for the hardware, and even then the cable work may look intimidating. Just a quick tip on how we got to hide all the cables, as there's extra room in front of the power supply and space available on top of the drives to tuck in any unused cables. Fully assembled, the Cowry shows what it's capable of. Besides looking awesome, it can handle modern setups with no problem. Just a little hiccup with cable management. The Cowry is a true original chassis that stands out from the rest of the square boxes, and that in itself is a piece of art for display, no matter of the hardware inside, with Lian-Li's quality construction with brushed aluminum. But in terms of functionality as an enclosure, it does have support for long graphics cards, SSDs, and USB 3 compatible. And with all-around open design, allow for passive ventilation to keep the temps down, and an integrated fan controller is a useful addition to monitor those noise levels. On the downside, more emphasis should have been put on the cable management, as one cable clamp at the back is not enough. We need to see cable tie mountings to secure those leftover cables, and the rubber grommets feel like an afterthought because they lack the quality feel and constantly fall out when passing the cables through them. And for the overall package, it may be a bit steep to drop $350 on a micro ATX chassis that doesn't fully satisfy. And as Lian-Li markets the case, its unique design is for unique people. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next one.